Hi, I'm Paul Vacheski, NebraskaLandlord.com, and today's discussion is what are the notice requirements for raising the rent? So first of all, it's a common question that I get, but first of all, when should landlords in Nebraska raise the rent? Well, understand that you're running a business and it's a for-profit business. So we raise the rents when the markets will support the increase. Anytime the landlord raises the rent, obviously he runs the risk of losing the current tenant. However, if the tenant and a lot of times the tenant will initially resist or threaten to move, but if the market will sustain the rent, we really don't care because that tenant may move, but we're going to be able to find another tenant that's going to pay the new market rate. So the answer is anytime you raise the rent, we raise the rent when the market will support the increase. Landlords should simply inform the tenant about other properties and what they're renting for in the area. That's a great way to take that argument away. And obviously, in the end, if they don't stay or they threaten not to stay or they're serious about moving, you as the landlord have to make a business decision whether or not to accept the lower rental rate and keep the current tenant, or let them move and get a new tenant. All right, so a couple things I want to talk about when we're providing or raising the rent here. First of all, we got to talk about notice requirements. Very important. The statute is very strict in the process that you have to follow. So if you have a rental agreement with a fixed expiration date, typically this is a 1 or a 2 year lease, but it can actually be a 6-month or a 3-month lease. The point is it has a fixed expiration. So on December 31st, the lease ends. So we have it written in. It's not a month to month. When there is a rental agreement with a fixed expiration date between the landlord and the tenant that specifies the amount of the rent, it cannot be raised during the term of the lease agreement. So we have to wait till that lease agreement ends before we can raise the rent. If it's a month to month, or in the legal jargon we call it a periodic tenancy, in a month-to-month situation, the landlord must give proper notice to the tenants that the rent will be going up. We call it typically a 30-day notice. It's not really a 30-day notice, and I'll explain that here. But don't forget, if you want to raise the rent, let's say you're going to raise the rent effective December 1st, you would need to give notice to your tenant on or before October 31st. So as you can see, it's actually a 31-day notice that you're going to give them. But the point is it goes month by month. So for example, if you want the rent to go up March 1st, that means you would have to give notice to your tenants on or before January 31st, even though there's 27, 28 days or 29 days in February. So it's actually less than a 30-day notice. The point is it goes from month to month. So we have to give that notice in that format. All right. So one thing that I do want to talk about that I do see occasionally in leases, landlords in Nebraska cannot include a provision in their rental agreement that allows them to raise the rent without giving notice. Any kind of provision that you put in there, even though the tenant agrees to it, is unenforceable. In fact, you're running the risk, if they ever went in front of a judge, to completely and totally give the judge an opportunity to declare the entire lease unconscionable and void it. So any automatic provision, it can't be in there. So, all right, that's the requirements for raising the rent. I hope you found this to be beneficial. If you have, please, at the bottom of this a blog article here, I would love for you to make a comment. Share this with your friends. Until next time, I'm Paul Vacheski, and happy landlording.